can just kind of chat.
Sounds good.
Just click the go live button. So hopefully we're out there in the world. If anybody's out there watching, would love if you said something in the chat so we know that this is working. But I'm really, really excited about this stream. We're going to be talking about something that I'm a little bit less familiar with. We're going to be talking about Amplify plugins. Yeah, I don't think anybody's on yet, so we can just chill for a couple of minutes. Usually takes like 2 or 3 minutes for people to start streaming in.
Yeah, no worries. You tweet something out, by the way? I can retweet it, I guess.
Yeah, I just retweeted, or I just tweeted it out, and I DM'd, or I went in a couple of the Discord channels, and then the community builders too. I thought the community builders would be a great group to chat with about this because they're a little bit more advanced with Amplify.
For sure. So yeah, it's really cool. So this is not the first team that have helped build a plugin either. There's actually a team in Australia that contacted me early or late last year, and they were trying to build a quick starts plugin. So like you would, for partners, their partners develop an Amplify, and so what you do is you run Amplify quick start, and then they have a list of repositories that the partners have approved and they've approved from the partners. And then you select one, and then it like spins up all the resources that are associated with that in a sense.
Oh wow!
It like clones the repository and does everything for them.
Wow.
So it's like it's a local version of the Amplify console almost.
That's awesome.
So they wanted to do it for their partners in Australia. It's like, yeah, that's pretty easy to do. So
very cool. Let me see. We are live. That is good.
That is good.
Very exciting. It's good that the technology is working,
functioning,
what you want.
Yeah.
Okay, it is 1:30. So Sam, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself? I'm super excited to have you on the stream today. We're going to be chatting again about Amplify plugins, which we've been chatting a little bit about here. But yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, so hello everyone. So my name is Sam Patzer. I am a solutions architect at AWS. So my main function and my main role in AWS is to help customers with the cloud. I build solutions for customers. I help them architect and give them guidance on everything in their cloud environment. When I'm not doing that with my customers, I'm usually having a lot of fun building cool things like, for example, Amplify Video, which is a plugin for the Amplify CLI. So kind of leads into what we're talking about today, which is building another plugin for the CLI.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. When you like Google anything Amplify plugins, it's all your stuff that pops up. So you were like the Amplify plugin person.
Yeah, I feel like I've been trying to convince people to build plugins. I do know that there's some third-party plugins that are being built, and people have reached out to me about them. But it's just good to kind of increase that documentation and stuff. I feel like we need to improve that still, but it's something that's brand new to the CLI team even, right? I still call them out in their GitHub even sometimes, like when they've done something with the plugins ecosystem they've done. So it's like, hey, you could definitely easily do this instead. And so it's a learning process, I feel like, for everyone, because initially when the CLI was built, the plugin ecosystem was very new, I guess is a nice way to put it. They didn't know about it. So when we started building our video plugin, they're like, you're breaking things. And we're like, no, we're not. We're doing exactly what everything else is going on. And so they ended up working with us to build an actual plugin ecosystem for it. But back in the day, Amplify Video was just literally a shoehorn in because they're using some technologies below the covers that allowed plugins to work.
That's super funny. So how would you describe an Amplify plugin?
Yeah, an Amplify plugin is pretty much an extension of the CLI. So anything that you see in the CLI today is all an extension of the core Amplify plugin. So say, for example, you have API, you have analytics, you have functions. Those are all extensions of the core Amplify CLI. You actually can go and disable those if you wanted to. You can say disable the analytic plugin, and you could not run analytics at that point. But what's really cool is something that people don't know is that a lot of the other parts of Amplify are also extensions. So say, for example, CloudFormation support is an extension of the Amplify CLI. So you can actually add an extension for adding Terraform support if you wanted to. Or you can add support for GCP if you really felt like entitled to do so. And it's something it's really cool that that's the ecosystem they built, is that you can bring your own providers to this platform. And it's an open source platform, so anyone can do that.
Awesome. Do you actually want to pull up the repo and we can talk a little bit about the plugins that are in there already? I'm sharing your screen for you.
Perfect. Yeah. So here's the actual repository. The front page is pretty much just a lot of hello stuff and just configurations to get the actual plugins to build. And this is a massive repository. A lot of times you have to have a lot of different things to build the packages. But what we really want to take a look at is the actual packages themselves. So as I talked about, there's a lot of different plugins in the Amplify CLI itself that already exist today. So for example, we have our categories, which are all different plugins themselves. So we have storage, predictions, interactions, so on and so forth, like the common ones at API and auth. These are all plugins that are already available, and you can copy and paste and change, and then you can make them your own plugin if you wanted to. So if we wanted to go down further, we actually can see some other plugins that are not your typical plugins that you might think that are plugins today. For example, our front ends. So front ends include Android, Flutter, iOS, JavaScript. That's how we do that code generation and offer those code generation and the files that are associated with that code generation. So those configuration files. So if you go in here and you were to want to write one, say, for example, C# is a really common to ask. You can actually write your own front end for C# here. And you can literally say, generate the code for my C#, my Unity engine, if you wanted to. And all you have to do is create Amplify-front end, and you can literally just get started and start using everything there. And it will show up in the CLI as another option for you to choose when you answer that Amplify init, in a sense. So it's just really extensible in that aspect. And then, as I talked about before, we have all of our where's that at? CloudFormation, as well as up here somewhere. But then we also have our GraphQL. So all of our GraphQL transformers are also open source. And you can add your own transformer if you wanted to. So say, for example, you want to make @function2, which does more, it's like a function in the VPC. You could definitely go and tackle that if you wanted to. Or if you wanted to make it connect to a Neptune database, you can add your own GraphQL transformer to connect to a Neptune database and stand them up. And so there's a lot of different transformers that are also available that you can easily edit and manipulate. And as I said, this is all extensible, and this is all already created on top of the CLI.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Go to the Python one. I think I'm the last for. I've been working on a Python update to Amplify, so I don't know. I could be one of the more recent people on there.
Yeah. So so the template ones are these providers. I do know that people have written providers for other things. I do know that there's a Swift one floating around somewhere. There's a provider for Swift for a function as well. So there's all sorts of really cool different ideas that you can kind of provide here as well. So one is for literally just allowing you to create a function of that thing, and the other one, the runtime one, is actually how you test it locally. So it allows you to say, for example, this is how I want to test locally. For example, Node.js and Java, I do know that they use Docker to spin it up. I do know that some other cases, some people want to do things not on Docker. Definitely with the new M1 release of Silicon, you can't use Docker right now on that. So there's a lot of people finding workarounds for that. There's just a lot of things that are going on right now. So sometimes these runtime providers, you can write your own if you want to just allow you to test your code in a different aspect.
Cool. Awesome. So I am looking at the chat too. So if anybody has questions for us throughout any of this, please drop them in there and we will totally get to them. Somebody asked for the link to this, and it is public. It's AWS-Amplify CLI, and I put that link in the chat as well. So you can contribute. It is open source. There are pull requests on there and issues and all that. So if you have any complaints, my team is that I work on is watching. So make sure to give us that feedback. We love to hear it. Cool. So what are we going to be building today, or what are we going to be working on today?
Yeah, so today we're going to be adding a feature that I feel like a lot of customers don't need, they know they need, I guess is a good way to put it, but it's something that a lot of customers should be using in their platform today. And it's adding Secrets Manager to the CLI. I think it's also important to kind of tell them what Secrets Manager is and why is it so
Yeah.
important.
For sure, for sure. So Secrets Manager allows you to essentially hide your API keys. So instead of having to write them in your code or anything like that, you can put them in Secrets Manager and it will hide them for you.
Yeah, exactly. So it allows us to hide our secret keys. Also, other customers use it for, like, for example, hiding PEM keys and stuff, for like SSHing in, or even database secrets as well. So that way, if you want to like log into an RDS instance or something with Lambda, it allows you to kind of abstract those away. Also provides an easy way to rotate keys as well. So
Yeah, I think the most common way right now that people are adding API keys or secret keys is through Lambda functions with Amplify. And within the Lambda console, there is a slot to add API keys. There is a catch though. If you put them there, there's a chance that they're going to get deleted every time that you push updates to the Lambda function. From what I've heard, it doesn't actually happen that often, but there's no guarantee that it won't. And so I've been using Secrets Manager for my API keys with Amplify projects recently.
yeah, I mean that's a good call out as well. Like, because when you make changes in your code, you don't want to lose the secret, right? Because sometimes those secrets are one and done, right? So once you have that secret, they're never going to share that secret with you again. So you have to store it somewhere safe, and so Secrets Manager is a safe place to put them.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, do you want to start diving into some code?
Yeah, I definitely would love to.
Awesome. So you have these really cool templates that you've created for making Amplify plugins.
Yes, I have. So let's see. So yeah, so on this page, hopefully it loads. It doesn't look like it's showing properly. It's weird. Is it glitched to you, or can you see my screen?
I can see your screen.
Okay, cool. So so on this thing, you see this is a plugin for TypeScript itself. So we're going to be using TypeScript today. I also have a template that is not associated with TypeScript if you prefer not to use TypeScript. So there's just a quick start that is available as well. So I'll show you that one real quick, just so that way people can know that they don't have to start with TypeScript if they don't want to. So this was presented 2 years at reInvent, but this is a template that's also valid to use. This one's just in JavaScript instead. This one's kind of cool because this one spins things up in actually CloudFormation when you're done. So you'll actually be able to deploy a DynamoDB table with this one.
Okay, this is super weird, but it's still showing on your screen the Amplify CLI repo. Your mouse is moving and all that.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's behind there.
Yeah, I think that's what I mean. It was like glitching or something.
Okay, yeah, it might be glitching.
Okay.
You want me to? Do you want
Uh,
to stop sharing and then
yeah.
restart sharing?
Yeah. Let me stop sharing and reshare
Cool.
again. Share screen. Allow. Hopefully this time.
Okay.
Yeah. Perfect. There we
Cool.
go. So, yeah, so this is my first template that I created 2 years ago. This one's was built for the reInvent. So last year or 2 years ago at reInvent, I held a builder session that taught people how to build plugins. And so this one's just a result of that. It allows people to spin up a simple CloudFormation template with it. It's all written in JavaScript, not TypeScript. So people that prefer JavaScript over TypeScript, this one's kind of easy for you to get started with. But we'll dive into some of the actual files in here. On the TypeScript one, they're the same. The only difference is that these are just written in JSON or JavaScript instead of TypeScript.
Awesome. Awesome. I feel like I'm more comfortable with editing TypeScript than I am like writing it from scratch. I don't know.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're mainly going to be editing
Cool.
because we're going to be manipulating files. Also, it looks like again it did the same bug. This is weird.
Oh no.
All right, so we're just going to have to. I have an idea. Maybe that will work. That did work. It looks like. No, it didn't.
I'm like half working. It looks like.
All right, now it's right. It is right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, it keeps freezing. That's weird. Let me here. I'm just gonna share the screen real quick, and I'm just gonna select the repository window instead.
Okay, cool.
There we go. Allow. Sorry, I'm running the new Mac M1, so some things just don't seem to work as well. So we're trying it out today. So here's the TypeScript plugin we're going to be using today. So we'll be diving into this template and working with this template. It's a pretty easy to get started. We'll dive into some of the files and the actual VS Code. But yeah, I think that this is just an easy way to get started. But yeah, well, let's dive into some code actually, so that way I stop talking in circles. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to use this template. What's nice about using this templates is that you can literally automatically clone it. It doesn't count as a fork in a sense, so that way you don't have many forks coming off your thing. So we're going to be calling this one Amplify category secret. You can name it the category whatever you like, but for our intents and purposes, we're going to be calling Amplify secret add, Amplify secret delete, Amplify secret update. So I felt like secret is just a very simple word to go with it. Most of the time, if you notice inside the CLI, a lot of times the words are very simple, easy to understand what they do, and they don't reflect what's underneath the actual thing itself. So
yeah, like storage instead of S3.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
So once we have our thing, he'll just tell us that we generated it, but it's not a fork at all. So it's nice that, see, you have none of my old commits in there, so you don't have to any of my commit history, and so you don't have to see me updating things or anything else like that. You can really just dive right in.
This is good inspiration. I should create more of these template repos because this is really a nice interface.
Yeah, I love the way that templates work. It's a great way to easily kind of get started on GitHub without having to have all those commit histories and everything else. And it really looks like it's from you at that point, right? And definitely when you're sharing sample code, it's just sample code that the customer then really makes it their own. So that's what it should be.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Also, I want to say that I'm very glad that GitHub is working because I was seeing all sorts of reports in our Slack channels that GitHub was down. And so I was pretty worried about that when we were about to go live. And I'm very glad that GitHub is holding up for us.
Yeah, so I mean that is very nice that it's still working for us. So I'm gonna hopefully close both my windows for the internet and share my screen again. So hopefully it does work with VS Code and my terminal, so it doesn't give us any weird errors. So there we go. So here we are. We have our terminal. We're working in a repository. I have in here. We're just going to go to documents, and then we're going to ongoing projects, and then we're just going to clone this thing right here. So once again, we just cloned it. So if we go into, we now see that inside here we have all of our stuff. So we can go ahead and open that up. And inside here we have all the stuff from our template and repository. So first thing we'll take a look at is the Amplify plugin, because we have to change some things in here. So the Amplify plugin, when you run Amplify add or Amplify delete, and then you have a word or verb next to it or anything, this allows the CLI to check to see if this is a valid configuration. So the name is like what we're going to be calling every single time. So whenever we want to do it, is we name this one sample, but we want to name this one secret instead, because this is our new Secrets Manager one.
Cool.
And then aliases allows us to provide any other aliases. So say, for example, we want to provide a secret way or a faster way to type it, so you can just type ST. But there's other aliases that are also in the CLI itself. So for example, I think if you run Amplify add S3, it actually also goes into storage as well. So there's some small hidden aliases that are actually in the CLI that no one knows about, which is kind of a really cool neat trick that you can find out about, and just by looking at this Amplify plugin.json.
I didn't know that. I'm learning all sorts of things.
Yeah, so there's all sorts of really cool little things that there's aliases all over the place inside the CLI that you can definitely take advantage of. Next thing we want to do is just update our plugin, our package.json, to represent what our npm package is going to be named. Usually, they recommend us using category dash and then our category. So that way, it just makes it easier for us to recognize when you go looking at your node modules and your globals that this is a category that is associated with it. So we're going to name this one secret. And then just once again, take that and update it in your package.lock as well. And this will all be updated later on. So next thing we want to take a look at real quick is our TypeScript. In our TypeScript, we have some extra things included here. We include JSON files as well because that's how we pull in our questions. So if we go into our things, we have sample questions here. That's how we get our questions to actually import. They have to include JSON files. We like to include questions in a easy to use format like JSON because that way it's easier to add, for example, like translations. If you wanted to add translations to your questions or anything else like that, JSON is just an easier way to do so instead of having to have a customer edit TypeScript or anything else. JSON just is universal, pretty easy. There's not any requirements for editors, anything, and you can make these changes without having to build in a sense, which is kind of nice.
Awesome.
So going in a little bit more deeper, so we have our Amplify plugin, which gives us all the commands that we're allowed to run. And then when a command is actually run, first place it hits is actually right here. So inside of here, it hits this execute Amplify command in a sense. That approach is like, how should I execute this command inside this plugin? It tells pretty much the directory structure and how everything should be able to be navigated in a sense. So what we're doing here is we're pretty much taking directory name of where we're at and combining it with commands to go into this folder called commands. And then we're running all these different commands. If you were to run help, it just displays the help menu in a sense, showing us what all of the different paths that we could take. So like update, add, delete. Some other plugins have other things, like for example, CodeGen has like other ways to CodeGen. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. So, and then handle Amplify event is a really cool thing that they added recently for plugins, which allows you to run events based off of things that have happened in the CLI, like Amplify push, Amplify init, and stuff, those sort of things. It allows you to run either pre or post init, pre or post push. So it allows you to do things that like you may not have them actually have to run Amplify Secrets add, for example, but this runs every single time Amplify push runs. And so it can reference some code for you. So for example, in Amplify video, we use that to sync a lot of our files that are associated with that video plugin to S3 every single time they run push. So it allows us to put like CloudFormation templates that we need up there, allows us to, like, for example, in a new environment, we have to add, we use Secrets Manager behind the scenes as well to store CloudFront secret keys. So we also, when a new person creates a new environment, we have to create new secret keys for that customer for that new environment. So we run that new environment, we generate a secret key on their behalf. So that's what handle Amplify event is. That is defined here, and then how you define which events you want to handle will be inside this plugin.json. We'll do that later on, either today or maybe in a different stream. That way, because we want to be able to, for example, when the customer runs Amplify delete, they want to be able to clean up those secrets when they're done. And also another thing we want to possibly do as well is when they create a new environment, they want to create a new secret or ask for another secret that they want to add to their project, because there might be new environments means new secrets for that environment, because they may be in separate accounts. So constants, we put in constants we have going through the project in this one. For example, our category for the rest of this project is going to be secret. So this just updates in a bunch of different places for us to be able to utilize. That way we don't have to go to every single line and Control F, Control V, replace in a sense. So this is the next place, supported services. This is just kind of a file letting us know. So say, for example, we support different types of secrets. For example, you might want to add Secrets Manager, and then someone wants to add, for example, Artifactory or Vault or something like that, or they have a different Secrets Manager they want to add. You can add another Secrets Manager, and Amplify CLI will prompt which one of these you want to choose from. So if you go through the API request right now, you are prompted between REST versus GraphQL. this is the same thing. We're just prompting if there's other options to prompt them for them. Then this also gives us some actual where these actual files are being stored, and I'll explain kind of what these actually mean a little bit later on. But for example, it points to what questions we need to ask per the request of it, and other things like that. So we're just going to be changing these up to secret. And some of them will not be used today. For example, like CloudFormation file name and stack folder. We're probably not going to do any CloudFormation because Secrets Manager does not really support CloudFormation. And also because we don't want to store our secrets in plain text anywhere. So we're going to be doing some more AWS SDK coding and less CloudFormation coding today. So questions, we'll be writing questions today, but for right now, we're just changing that up. The first thing we want to do is provide a resource name. This tells us how we want to name our secret. It's the first question that almost every single category uses. Is asks us what is our name of our project. It's like when you write an API, what is your name of your API? It's a pretty simple question, but most every single one uses it. We use it for when you run like Amplify status, for example. It allows us to check in on that. So that's up. Let's go up to commands. First thing we have to do is rename this one to secret. And we have to rename the folder itself to secret. And then after that, everything else should be good, except for the feature name here. So at this point, this just tells us the commands. So this is the help, in a sense. This is what displays help. So we just use the Amplify show help with the commands, and it makes it all beautiful for us. And it makes that really cool help command folder. And then as far as in here, we have our version. So what we do is we just import the package.json. We take the project name and version, combine them, make them look nice, and we get a version out. So it's kind of an easy way to debug and allow customers to do it. Update. First, what we're doing in update is, say, for example, they want to update a secret, or this want to update something in that project. Update runs. It asks them for what project do they want to update, rather than prompting them for a name. And so then we can pass that along to the rest of the CLI. Add is just as you think. It would just be adding it. So this is all coded up already. So it's pretty simple. And then one thing I'd like to call out is that throughout this entire thing, you'll see a lot of the results.provider name. And the reason why we're doing this is because of the fact that, as I talked about before, providers are not unique just to CloudFormation. You could have Terraform. You could have a third-party provider as well in there. So you can just choose whatever provider you want. And we're just pretty much telling them that, hey, we've only written code for CloudFormation here. So say, for example, someone were to release another provider, we're just saying that this category does only supports CloudFormation today. Because if you had another category, they can choose to opt out of CloudFormation. And that's just, we're like, all right, cool, we can't help you at that point. Sorry. And it's just a good error checking in a sense to double check that they're running in the right spot. And then after that, we have we go into provider utilities. So we use AWS CloudFormation for all this. We have an index here for just adding resources. So what we're doing here is we're storing all the answers to their questions in a prop folder and also in a parameters folder, and then parameters and props. Parameters are used to say that you have dependencies on other resources. So for example, video has a dependency on GraphQL when they choose to add a CMS. So we wait until the entire GraphQL endpoint stood up before we stand up our video endpoints. So we're just saying that we have dependency on that. So we use parameters.json to do so. So we just write to both, but parameters could be empty and that's completely fine. We just write to both, as customers can add that if they need to. And then finally, we've commented this out, but if you need to build your templates or you need to sync them into a folder anywhere, we allow you to do so. We just don't have any purpose to do it here because we have no template in this template in a template. So we're just commenting that out. And then what we do here is this is just a service question. So this is where we actually ask our questions to our customer. We just pull the questions from our JSON file and pretty much ask the name of the project. And then we store it in our props file, and then we save that props file later on. But what we do here as well is if this service questions is shared between update and add. So if we get a resource name, we then want to do things like, for example, use the same resource name, because resource name should not be changed because it's the name of the actual resource because you're updating it. But you might want to load in your other defaults from that resource name. So you might want to access the props file that's associated with it. You want to do other things. And we just use the resource name as a kind of way to pull that information down.
Cool.
So that's why we only ask the question when they run it for the add, but not the update.
That makes sense. Cool.
Cool.
And if anybody has any questions from people watching or anything like that, please let us know. We'll definitely try to answer them up here as well.
Yeah. And what's really cool about this is pretty much the same format that most of the CLI team uses today. So what I'm doing here is not foreign by any means, and you can actually go look at in a more advanced project than this one that's templated on their CLI webpage today. Like this is all very much similar to what they're doing. I think the biggest changes are that I'm using JSON files for questions and supported services while they've written everything in TypeScript. I just disagree with that in the aspects that it's easier. It's easier to share a JSON file and help people contribute to a JSON file than it is a TypeScript file. So that's why I've always kept them in JSON, as it's easier just to contribute. Also, I want to add the ability to do different languages eventually, and to feel like JSON is just a lot easier to do so rather than trying to write even longer TypeScript files. So I just pulled out those out, and it's easier just to reference a dictionary. As a dictionary, everyone knows how to use, right? Hopefully, at least.
Yeah.
So cool. So pretty much at this point, we're pretty much good to go. I just need to finish renaming some stuff here. But we should be good to start actually writing some code. So you said that you've already kind of added a way to pull things from a secrets manager, right?
So what I've done in the past is just go in through the console, create them there, and then update the CDK.
Okay.
No, sorry, the CloudFormation to give permissions to it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I've done it in the past.
No worries. Yeah. So we're going to be doing everything from the SDK now. So we're
Cool.
going to actually be doing like calling the secrets manager. We're going to be using the profile that the customer provided to us and stuff. So first thing I want to do before we get too far into this is we want to make sure that first of all, things build. And secondly, we want to make sure that things installed correctly. So let me type password in. All right, so everything was at least built correctly. So now we're going to open up a terminal here, back out. Let's do throwaway. I've learned from my last things that I just need to make a throwaway file, so I know that these are not projects that I care about. Secrets tester. So because last time I had so many files in my other computer that I was like, oh, which ones are actually like projects I'm working on versus which ones are just like Amplify test files or Amplify test folders that I don't need anymore.
Oh my goodness, that's so smart. I need to do that because a lot of times I'm testing to see whether something has been fully integrated or something, or I'm trying to test my own demos. And so I have like 18 of the same project. So that's a really, really smart idea.
Yeah, exactly. And then I always forget to run Amplify delete when I'm done doing all my testing.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, crap. So I have to generate some secret keys real quick. So 1 second. As I said, this is a new computer, so I have no secrets saved on this machine. So just give me a few minutes while I do that.
Cool.
If anyone has any questions, that would be a great time to ask.
This would be a really good time. We don't want to show any secrets on stream.
Exactly.
For the same reason that we're doing this in the first place.
All right, create role. Wait, we don't need a role. We just an end user. End user. And one demo. We just do program like access. All right, perfect. All right. Copy this one over. What's nice about Amplify CLI is it hides it all, so I don't have to even worry about hiding my terminal screen. Boom. And then we're working in West 2 today. It's my preferred region.
I use the East ones out of habit, but I'm kind of in the middle of the country, so I guess I could pick a couple different ones.
Fair enough, yeah. West 2, I don't know. I just feel like, yeah, I am using the new M1. I do like it a lot. I've had it for 2 days now, so I wouldn't say like I'm fully on board yet. There's definitely some caveats to using it. Like earlier today, we are having issues with screen share, so it was like weird bugs and stuff. And then also some video conferencing apps are crashing every time you turn on your video and stuff. So I've been having to use like web versions of the conferencing apps because they seem to work better. But yeah, everything else seems to be working just fine. I mean, it runs a lot quieter, runs less hot. I mean, I've been really liking it as a recent. So perfect. We have a new Amplify project now. So now if we want to go double check that things are working, we can just need to run npm build here, or run build. And the reason why we're doing that is because we're running TypeScript. We have to build things. And
So as you talk about it, I think you're having the same screen sharing issue as before.
Oh, did it just get? Just see. I cursed myself. I brought it up.
You jinxed it.
And it didn't work. Well, let me reshare my screen. Yes.
Okay, there we go.
I threatened to do it, and it
fixed itself.
Well, it didn't fix itself actually.
Okay, never mind then.
All right, let's reshare. Share screen. Share screen. And screen 1. Let's go. All right. Hopefully. All right.
Let me add it back.
Yeah, no worries.
I always forget about that part.
All right. Hopefully it works. All right.
Yes.
Oh, wait. We have to run npm install. G. Oh. Also, I include the npm. All right. npm run build now. Hopefully it runs. Oh. TS is not found. It was working just like 10 seconds ago on my other project. Why are you telling me TS is not found now?
It's the demo gremlins. They hate everybody and always get us.
Yeah. Let's try this one more time. Okay, well, TypeScript is not wanting to work anymore. Thank you. All right, we're just going to do npm install dash. All right, 1 second. We're just installing TypeScript manually here. All right. There we go. There we go. Now built.
Awesome.
We're good. Now, if we were to run add secret here. Oh, it didn't show up. All right, can you see that still? Is that working? No, it's all frozen again.
Oh no.
All right, we're gonna do this. We're just gonna wait. Did that fix it?
Now it's working. Yeah.
No, it's not.
Or no. Okay.
I'm typing the terminal right now. It's not fixed. All right. Well, I have an idea. I'm just gonna keep everything to Visual Studio Code right now, and we're just gonna use everything in Visual Studio Code because I can. It seemed to be working just fine when I shared just a single screen.
Cool.
So we're
it's super funny because like your mouse is still moving and things outside of the window are showing up. But
yeah. All right. There we go. Hopefully,
cool.
Yeah. There we go. Perfect. So we're just gonna. What's nice about this is we can create terminals here. So we have just multiple terminals running. So what we're just doing is we're going to throw away. There we go. All right, so what we're doing here is we can run Amplify add secret. We can show you the error that I got, just that way I'm not making things up. So what we have here is we can't find a JSON file I created just because I've just renamed it wrong. So then just go back to 2, and then run Amplify and npm run build again, just to copy things over. What if I actually do split screen? I can. Let's just do that then. That's way easier. Okay. List CD sequence tester, and then Amplify secret add. There you go. And now we're asking a question on what is our project name going to be named. We chose in our defaults here. We just called it Hello World. We can change it to wherever we want later on for defaults. So we call it Secret One or wherever we want. And we have a right here regex that we check to see if it's valid or not. So for example, I can show you what it looks like when it breaks. We can say hello dash ampersand like that. And it'll say resource should be alphanumeric. So it kind of is a nice way to like verify things, because a lot of AWS services have really weird requirements on names. So it's just nice to do some validation before they even try pushing the resource. So that way they're not going to be like, well, it said it was valid here. Why is that the case? So
that's awesome. It's like a very, very nice way to do that.
Yeah, so I always recommend updating these validations that way that, hey, you got something going on, you're good to go. So there we go. So now if we were to do Amplify status right now, you'd be able to see that we have in here Amplify status, we have a secret, resource name is called Hello World, operation is ready to create, and the provider plugin we're using is just a CloudFormation template. So then at that point, we can just run Amplify update just to show what update looks like. Secret. And then choose Hello World, and it just says successfully updated because we have no other question to ask the customer. So, and then finally, we can just run Amplify remove secret. And we choose which resource we want to remove. And it just asks you, are you sure? And then you say yes, and then it removes it. And then when we run Amplify status again, we have nothing in our Amplify status. So that's where that template project is where it gets you. The only thing we've done so far is just change names. We've not done anything more fancy, nothing else as cool as that. So what we're going to do now is what we're going to start adding to the add function in a sense. So we want to be able to like provide a secret to our secrets manager and actually be able to add it to our console sense. So first step is to do that. So to add something to AWS, you need some sort of profile or you need some credentials to do so. Since we're not using CloudFormation, we have to get those credentials in a sense. When you answer Amplify's CLI questions, you're prompted to provide a profile or access a secret key. You're prompted to provide those details already. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to take advantage of something that we've already been given in a sense. So to do so, we're going to be kind of doing a little bit of coding to print access, since we're in the CloudFormation provider, access the CloudFormation provider, get our credentials, then use those credentials to then call the AWS SDK that then places a secret somewhere. So first thing we're going to do is we're just going to try and get some credentials. So that way we can actually do something. So I'm going to steal some code from one of my old projects here because we want to add support for multiple versions of Amplify CLI. We don't want to limit ourselves to a certain version of CLI. And so nice. I have a shim that's built for it already.
That's awesome. Copy-paste driven development is the best type of development.
Exactly. So I'm just looking for it real quick. And I'll explain what the code does. So I'm not going to just be like, ooh, that's really cool, but what does it do? We'll explain all that. So there it is. That's utils get AWS. Perfect. All right. So we're in here, we're going to do another AWS CloudFormation folder. We like to call this utils, as we want to be able to use this no matter where we're at in the project, whether we're going to be using Secrets Manager or anything else. It's just helpful for us to have a utilities file. This one is called get AWS, so this is just to get AWS credentials. So we're pasting this in. And so what we do here is inside this, we have a shim. Oh, God, that was just horrible. That's what they hate about copy pasting.
Yeah, and VS Code seems to always like copy and paste it in weird ways.
Oh yeah. So what we're doing here is we're doing get AWS config. Print from here, we get the provider plugin, and we check to see if that's valid. Because this didn't exist in older versions of Amplify CLI. If it does exist, it's pretty easy. We can just literally say return. If it does not return, we use the shim. The shim is just not as I guess beautiful as what the new function does, but pretty much we do the same exact thing, except for we use plugins.find to find the plugin that's correct for us, and then we find the right plugin, then we get the directory, and then after the directory we can then return the provider. So it's not the most beautiful, but it works. I'm glad that they added a way easier way to get it, but just the get plugin instance. But this does work as well. So once we have that, we'll go ahead and import that into our project here. So we'll go ahead and I think it's been a hot second since I touched this code. I think it's just, yeah. We're just going to say get AWS config is equal to require. We're just importing it here. So I'm always, whenever I use this get AWS config, I'm always like making sure that when I do so, I have the right use for it. So when you call get AWS config or you call any AWS APIs from this thing, it does take a little bit extra time, and so it can be it can appear as you're hanging, for example. So you want to make sure that when you're using this AWS config, you have a real reason to reach out to AWS console. We only do it 3 times video. We do it once to create a secret for a customer, twice. The second time we do it is when customer wants to bring their own custom template for a media convert template. We ask them to just generate in the console itself or upload a JSON file into the console to verify that it's correct. And then we just pull it from there. And then number 3, we do it to sync all of our CloudFormation templates. So we only do it 3 times, and each one of those times we've had good justification to do so. Otherwise, we don't like calling it. It just slows things down, and you only call it when you need to call it. But since today we're calling Secrets Manager, we have only use case is to call it, so we are going to just be calling it. But it's just a good call out. It's just you should not be using this every single day. We're just using it for this plugin because that is the best use case for this plugin in a sense. That's fine. We're going to ignore that. Cool. So what we're going to do here is after we get our project name, we first want to configure AWS. So we're just going to say constant AWS equals get AWS config. And then I think we have to provide something else to it. We have to provide the context and options. So context and then options. I'll show you what context or options are. Context is pretty much the context of the entire core Amplify CLI. So there's a lot of things in there that you'll notice. There's stuff like you can print things from it. Amplify's cores found in it called context.amplify. So it just pretty much is like a good place to kind of reference things that you're going to be using across the entire thing. It allows also just to access Amplify across the entire project. So most of the time, you'll see almost every function inside of most plugins are passing context back and forth, and that's why this because it allows you to have access to Amplify's core functionality very easily. And then options we define in our index right here. We pass it. Sorry, pass it from our commands here. And our options include our categories. So what category are we using for? So for us, it's secret. Our service type. So this is like if we were to have like REST and GraphQL and everything else, it would just like allow us to just kind of separate that out so we know we're in categories, secrets, we're using Secrets Manager. And then provider plugin tells us what provider plugin are we using. So CloudFormation, as I said, we can just bring Terraform and other things. And Get AWS, for all intents and purposes, we only care about the provider plugin for getting Get AWS, but we're passing the entire options in so that we just expand it there. So inside here, we have the AWS. And so now we have AWS credentials in a sense that we can use to do really cool things with the SDK. What's nice about this is since we have this, we don't have to no longer, like, for example, call things like, or like, first of all, install the AWS SDK. We don't have to configure the SDK because the CloudFormation template already configures it and installs it on our behalf. So all we have to do at that point is just go to the AWS documentation and just pull it up and rock and roll. So why don't I pull up the documentation real quick? I wish I could share my screen pulling up my documentation.
But everything will break.
Yeah, everything will break. So actually, I'll switch my screen to the Secrets Manager, and so I can walk through what the SDK looks like and what we're going to be doing today. And then we'll go back to the coding this part, if that works for everyone. I wish I could just switch screens. That'd be nice. Instead of stopping and sharing again. Anywho's.
StreamYard, gotta get on that.
Allow. There we go. So we're working in just the normal JavaScript SDK. So we have access to everything in here. So what we're going to first have to do is initialize our Secrets Manager. So we'll be taking this line to initialize our Secrets Manager. We can either do this one or this one. Since I do know that we do configure the API versions in other places, we don't have to technically do this. But it's good to call it just in case there's a new version change. You want to just guarantee that this version is going to always be the same. We rarely release new versions, but stuff like, for example, AWS Firewall Manager and WAF have definitely seen new version releases. So it's just always good to kind of define it if you are using potentially like these are going to be game-breaking things. So just to define the API version. At that point, what we want to do is we want to just add a secret. So we have create secret here. And create secret, we just provide a set of parameters. So we can take a look at what the parameters are. Inside here, we can do parameters, client request token. Remember, that is not required. Description is not required either, but it's always helpful. I always like putting in that we've generated this to the CLI and you manage it to the CLI. So that way people, when they go into the console, they're like, where did this come from? And they can see where the description comes from. The name, I usually say the name is going to be a combination of your resource name that you provided plus the environment that you've chosen. So for example, when you set up the environment for the first time, you have that dev, prod, whatever you want. So you just append that to there. So that way people know that this is from the dev environment, this is from the prod environment. And then at that point, you just pass in the secret string. So what's nice about this is you can pass in the secret name from a file. So we can do a file import. They can copy paste it into the console if they want to, or the CLI instead. There's a lot of different ways they can handle it. But pretty much what we're doing is we're never storing that secret anywhere. We're going to be passing it straight from wherever the customer provided us to the secret string. The secret string gets uploaded, and then it's on our Secrets Manager. We're never going to store it anywhere locally in the CLI. And that way, if they were to commit everything to GitHub after they've used Secrets Manager in the project, they're not storing their secrets in GitHub. Because that's a bad practice. You don't want to do that ever.
Don't do that.
So the goal is to not store it anywhere. So it's really nice is that we don't require it. It's literally we can pass it as a string. Then we pretty much just check to see if there's any errors. One of the most common errors is that there's a secret that already exists with that name. So depending on how the customer is using it, they might have to like do things like, for example, update or delete it. It's something that we see a lot of customers have issues with. So it's something just good to be aware of. And we can definitely talk about how to handle that. But for right now, we're just going to be appending with just dev. But a lot of times, like what we've done in Amplify videos, we actually append it with a random UID at the end of it that we keep track of. That way, when a customer wants to rotate their keys, we just change the UID. And then we keep the old string around until they have verified and gone to the console themselves to delete it. Because a lot of times, people don't understand what it means to delete and update everything for the new secrets. And so we want to make sure that we're not going on behalf of the customer and deleting it. They have to go and delete it themselves. So yeah, so there's other cool things when the Secrets Manager add. We can actually do a binary as well. And you can force overwrite as well. We never do that, but you can. And pretty much that's it. So we'll be referencing this documentation a lot. I just won't see on my screen because I can't show two screens at once. But this is just where I'll be referencing and pulling a lot of that code from. But it's just good to call that out. And then when we go back to the top of it, one thing also good to notice is that we do have update secret here. One thing that's good to call out in update secret is that you'll notice that there is no, where's that? Where's the file? Oh, sorry, there is a binary. They changed it. Before, Secrets Manager had no way to update the secret itself, but you can update all the details associated with it. You actually can now update it, it looks like. So we'll be calling this to update the secret as well. So when you want to run Amplify update, you can then update it using the update operation. So, and then delete, we will not be doing deletes as right now. We're just deleting it from the project and we'll move references to it, but we'll not be deleting it, and we'll just let the customer know they have to go delete it in the console. As I feel like that's just usually the safer route. In the aspects of secrets are usually secrets for a reason, and they're also very important to not lose. And so it's better for them to consciously go in and have to delete it than accidentally running Amplify delete and they needed that parameter or that secret for other things. For example, like it's an API key that one of their like providers have given them, and they have no longer any reference to it. It's better to not do that on their behalf, and that they can do it. One thing that's also good to know is that if we were to want to add it, the delete operation does not delete it for 30 days. It actually just sets a delete marker on it, and then if you will call it in any time in that 30 days, it will then unmark it from delete in a sense. So,
oh wow.
So there is a delete stamp and delete date that can be done, and then you have a recovery window that you can still recover it. So that we can add it if we want to, but I usually find it just better safe than sorry not to add it. But we can if we want to, and it's kind of up to what our customers want. So we can always add it, or we can make an option to add it in the sense of being like, hey, are you sure you want to delete it from the console as well? Yes. Okay, then we'll delete it now. And we'll only add it as a 30-day delete, right? So let's dive back into the code because you guys are probably bored as looking at the documentation. You want to see something actually work. So I will go ahead and switch back to the code. Stop screen, share screen. And this one, allow, perfect. All right. So as we said, we have our AWS here. So first thing we want to do is we want to, pulling this from there, we want to configure our Secrets Manager. So we're just going to configure our Secrets Manager from our AWS right here. So pretty much this gives us a Secrets Manager that we can then utilize to create our secret. So from that, we then want to verify, not verify. First, we want to do a try-catch statement. So try-catch allows us to try and create a secret, and then we catch the error. I like try-catches more than and errors or whatever, from the aspects of, since we're working in all async anyways, we're going to use promises everywhere, and try catches just work really nicely with promises. So we're just going to be doing a constant of secret. So what we're doing is we want to get the results back of the secret, because later on we're going to actually be trying to add this to a environment variable inside of the Lambda function, inside of function. So when you run Amplify add function, then you run Amplify add secret, you actually can then reference this in the actual function itself. So we'll be wanting to store some information around that secret later on, like the ARN, for example. So we just want to be able to capture that details. After that, we're just calling await. So we want to make sure that we wait for something to be stored. Or then we're calling Secrets Manager here, dot create secret. And then we want to do a passes parameters. And then we're going to just do constant parameters, params. And we need to then pass in, let's see what else. Sorry, I pull out the documentation again. I have too many windows open. All right, and then we want to do create secret. Yeah, create secret. Oh yeah, we just parameters, and then that's it. Perfect. And then we just do a promise at the end. And then pretty much that's saying that we're going to wait for it. If there's an error, though, it drops down to the error, and then we'll want to do a context.print .error, and then we'll just print the error for right now. And as I said, what's nice is that Amplify CLI does provide all these things. So print.error automatically gives you that nice bold red text being like, hey, here's the error. There's something that went wrong. And it will give us all that information right off the bat. So the parameters that we'll need to be doing today. First, we're going to do a name of, we're just going to use a resource name for right now. But then we'll add the development environment on soon. We're just going to double check everything works. Secret string. We're going to hard code that as Sam's secret.
Very secret.
Oh, yeah. Oh, come on. Perfect. And then you're going to give a description saying that this was created from the Amplify CLI. And there we go. So we have all our parameters, we have our secret, and then we'll just go ahead and context.print secret dot, or just secret for right now. That way we can see what actually returns from the request. But if I remember correctly, it should just return in .arn, but we just want to double check. So if we will go ahead and run back in here, we can run amplify add secret here. We're just provide a name of hello world. And then, oh, something did not print. Oh, helps if you run build first. Remove that secret real quick. Yes. Amplify add secret now. Oh, did not like something. Cannot read property of project name. Undefined. Oh, yeah. So resource name sometimes does not exist. That was my fault. I should have said dictionary dot resource name. There we go. There. Oh, have to build first. One thing I don't like about TypeScript, I guess you would put it, is that you have you can't get away with like some cheeky things from time to time, and you always have to build. So sometimes it gives you some like errors, and you're like, oh, really? Do I need to worry about that?
Not the anarchy that is JavaScript.
No, exactly. I wish it was, but not always.
Well, I mean, I guess that's the benefit of it too.
Oh yeah, that's yeah. It's like it has its ups and its downs, and one of the ups is definitely like the fact that you can't get away with like things like that are like cheeky, but like at the same time you can't, like for example, like cannot redeclare block scope variable get config. It's like, well, I'm trying to just import it. Come on. This is why I obviously don't write a lot of TypeScript, if you can't tell. I think maybe it's just import, possibly. good. Let me know if I'm wrong or not. This brush is not callable. Okay. We're getting there, maybe.
Potentially.
Okay, nope. So why is it not letting me just do this? Because I feel like that's the right way to do it.
Is there a name collision?
Now it built.
Okay. Oh wow, magic. Okay. Love it when that happens.
Now it's telling me that project name is undefined. Where is that at? Cannot read property. Secrets push. Line 14. Where's that at? There's nothing there. Okay, thank you. Sample that project name. You mean you can't read? Okay. Why is it not working? We literally just like showed that this worked. Oh, okay. I'm stupid. It's called secret.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It was the rename. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
All right, there we go. There we go, possibly. Oh, well, first we have to compile it again. There we go. Now we can add secret. There we go. So see, you can see it hanging here for a little bit.
Yeah.
That's just because we're calling things the Amplify. And then Secrets Manager is not a constructor. Okay. What am I missing here? All right, it's telling me it's not a constructor. Oh, yeah. Wait, that's right. Sorry, 1 second. I was like looking through some old code here. I know that's right for the most part. There's just probably something I'm missing. A lot of fun. Always fun debugging things.
Always.
I
wonder if it's the return from the get AWS.
You think so? Let me just log it to see what it is. See what happens when it returns. It should return a valid object. Yep, there it is.
Okay, so that does look right.
Yep. They might have. Let me just check AWS config. Ah, there we go. That's right. I skipped a step. I was just too greedy. That's actually called provider. AWS equals 08. Provider dot get configured AWS client. There we go. There we go.
Cool.
I skipped a step. Now that's right. That should not work. Now let's add a secret. Oop. All right. Cool. So we configured it properly. but then my context.print is not a function, which is fine. Dot though. There we go. Perfect. Now, it should have still succeeded. It just failed right there. So if we were going to go into the console now, I'll share my screen again as I get to this console real quick.
Cool.
We should have a secret called Sam's Secret. And you guys can all check out my new spooky secret. So here we go, share screen. And AWS Management Console, allow. So if we go to Secrets Manager, if it lets me select it. There you go. All right, so we have a lot of different secrets in here. But we have Hello World One right here. It says this was created from the Amplify CLI. If we were to go in here, you can go to retrieve my secret value if you want to go see what it is. And you can see it's my Sam secret.
Very secret.
So this is something that we've written and we've uploaded through the Amplify CLI. So now we just have to take that and just kind of manipulate it and use it more. And first of all, make it more customizable because everyone doesn't want my secret. Obviously, it's not a cool secret, at least. So we have to allow customers to do other secrets, like provide a file or copy paste. So there's a lot of different ideas behind what they might want to do. So
that would be pretty funny though if every secret key was just Sam's secret.
Sam's secret, that'd be great.
Just their password for everything now has to be that.
Exactly. That'd be perfect. All right. Now let's go back to our file here. File. Perfect. So now we fixed this up. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete that secret. And we're going to go ahead and change our resource name a little bit too. So the next thing I talked about is that you want to add your environment to your secret. So that way you have no collisions to secret names. Because some customers do run their environments in the same account. We do recommend usually having them in separate accounts, but sometimes, their QA and dev environments do exist in the same accounts, definitely for smaller customers. But we usually recommend at least a prod and dev are separate, so that way, you don't have all your developers touching things that are in production. Usually it's not a good practice to touch things in production in general, but, everyone's entitled to their own way of using AWS, and I can't say that there's technically a wrong way to do it, but I would just highly recommend at least having two different, sections to put your code in. So inside a secret push, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to get some project details. So inside of here, we have our project metadata already, but we want some project details. So what project details contains is things that are related to the project. For example, this will contain our environment. It will contain our choice of coding languages. So for example, if we've chosen JavaScript, it will contain all that information in here as well. So it's very helpful for us to be able to pull certain information from it. We'll be using it mainly to pull the environment from it. So that way we can append this name. So we'll make it look really nice. So we'll use my fancy little backticks here to do something like that. And then we'll just do project details dot local environment info. And then dot environment name. And then that will be able to be our resource name.
Yeah. And most of Amplify does this, by the way, for anybody watching, is your DynamoDB database is going to have the -dev appended onto it behind the scenes. So.
Yep, we're just following what everything else is doing in Amplify.
Yeah.
Yep. So the goal is to keep it as similar as possible to the normal what other C plugins do. And so we just want to make sure to append it with that dev environment. But everything does that already. Because a lot of times it prevents a lot of collisions in other places. Like, for example, S3, you're only allowed one S3 bucket name, right? Like, and that's global. So like you can't have multiple accounts with different bucket names. That's a global thing. So you obviously want to make sure that you're appending with environment name, but also make sure that that bucket name is unique enough that you're not colliding with other people.
The most difficult part about doing demos over and over again.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Slightly renaming your S3 buckets every time.
Yeah, I started actually generating random UIDs to
That's
enter
smart.
all my buckets in Amplify Video because we have so many customers spinning up the same buckets names that we literally just started appending UIDs to the end of them. Because it's like, it doesn't even matter. A customer's not going to use that bucket name for anything except for uploading videos anyways. So
Yeah.
might as well append a random UID so we're not having collisions happen. So now that we have this, we need to now ask the customer what their secret is. Do you want to provide it by file? Do you want to provide it to us via string? Like, tell us what your secret is. We want to know all your secrets, by the way. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new question around this. We're going to call get secret. The key, so the key is like how we reference it. So inquire allows us to ask multiple questions in a row if we wanted to, and then store all the answers to those questions in a dictionary in a sense. And then so the key is just how we reference that this question's answer in a sense. So for this one, we're just doing a secret because this just contains our secret. Our question is actually first we'll do get secret type. This is secret type because first we want to ask how they want to provide their secret to us. So the question itself will be what type of secret do you want to provide? And then we'll have different options that we want to do. So instead of validation, we can do options. So let me get an options example here. And I'm just pulling this right from the Inquirer's documentation, what the sample looks like for doing like multi questions and answers. So it's pretty easy to figure these ones out. But it sort of looks, so first thing you have to do is first of all provide it as a type as well. If you don't provide a type, by the way, it's a enter your own question in a sense. So we're choosing list here. And then finally, is all of our options. So what's nice about options is that we can provide a plain text option. So like something that a customer can read and be like, that's the option I want to go with. But then, if you ever mess with like string matching, for example, you love string matching, multiple like spaces and everything else like that. So we can just do like name here and we'll say bring your own file. And the value, we can provide a value to this as well. And we can just say file. So that way when we're trying to do a string match or see which one they chose, it will give us back file instead of bring your own file, right? So it just makes it a little bit cleaner for us to work with. And then same thing with name here. We'll do enter secret in plain text. And then value. And then text. Pretty simple stuff. Then after that, we want to do another entry here. The next one is telling us secret file location. So this one is just asking where the file secret's stored. And one thing I would eventually would love to add to this is checking to see if they're storing the secret in the actual project itself. One of the things is that we can always protect our customers by just checking to see if the secret's stored in a place that it shouldn't be. If it's stored in their main repository and it's not included in their git ignore, we can just call it out to them and be like, hey, you're referencing it inside your project and it's not in your git ignore. Would you like to add it to your git ignore or would you like to move the secret? So just kind of just letting them know like, hey, we noticed something is wrong here. Are you sure this is okay? And they can obviously ignore our warnings as well. But it's just, trying to be helpful and friendly. So the question itself will be, where is your secret file? And this will just be, once again, a plain text entry. So we don't need validation. Validation is hard on this one. You obviously can write regex for that, but I usually validate it with a custom function that checks to see if the file exists. If the file exists, whatever it is, we can just use it. So, and we don't provide a default to this one either, because there shouldn't be a default, right? This is them pasting in their location, their file.
Yeah.
Then finally, one more. So this one I have to actually go to the inquire site because I've never written before. But we're going to be doing a, and I'll paste the inquirer's documentation right now as well on StreamYard. If I can. I don't know how to. I'll send it to you in private chat.
Okay, cool. And then I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, sounds good. But this is how all the Amplify CLI asks questions, by the way, is through this library called Inquirer. And so behind the scenes, we use this in all sorts of different places throughout all the different questions and answers and stuff. So it's really cool because you can add things like those questions. It does automatic detection of regex if you need to. As confirmation, you have checkboxes. The listing. If I remember correctly, there is a way to also do passwords. So, and that's what we want to do, a password in a sense, because.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, perfect. There we go. So we have secret text, and then right here, actually we just call it secret because it is just the secret. I don't know. We just do secret text. Actually, that's fine. The key itself will be called secret. And that's secret. And then right here, the question is, place or copy your secret here. And then the type, they have a type for passwords called password. So it's pretty simple to use. And password, there you go. Helps if I finish my comments here. Perfect. And that's it. So we've created all of our questions that we'll want to ask our customer for getting their secret. So first thing we want to ask is, what type of secret are you giving us? Are you giving us a secret that is a file, or is it a text document, or like pasting something you want to paste in? And then after that, we prompt either for the secret itself or the file location of where they want to store it. So since I feel like the first one is going to be a lot easier just with copy pasting, we'll go ahead and start with that one just to verify things are working.
Cool.
And then we'll do the file one. Is that one we have to do some custom checking to see if the file even exists, right? So let us get started. So before we configure anything else, we want to get that secret from them. So after this one, we can just do another one of these like constant secret location is equal to array questions, and then type secret dot, and then we just go back to our questions real quick. We are first asking to get type, secret type, and then we need a name. That is secret dot get secret type dot key, and then a message as our question in a sense. And then at this point, it changes up just a tidbit, as obviously we're doing a list. So with a list, we have to provide a another field here instead of default. We do message, or sorry, options, or choices. Yeah, it's choices. And then those choices, we then do secret dot get secret type. And then those are, if I remember correctly, called them options. Perfect, options. And then we can provide a default if we wanted to. We'll just go ahead and drop a default in here as well. So that way we have a default to work with. We're going to default to, just for testing purposes, first we're going to just default to text.
I think that's a good default in general.
I do agree. We're going to swap those. So the order also, by the way, does matter on these. So if you don't order them the right way, it will like look kind of weird. So I always put my default at the very top. There we go. And so then after that, we just have to say constant secret location answer is equal to inquire. Oh wait, first await inquire dot prompt of, and then we just ask the question that we just created, and there we go. So print that will get us the answer we want. So then we'll do an if statement here. So we can see secret location answers dot we'll do dot here, and then we just get secret type is equal to, then we'll do text first, text, then we'll say else context dot print dot error not yet supported. If it's the text, then I want to ask our second question, right? Secret question equals, and then we just do the same thing we did before above here. We actually even copy this if we wanted to. So the type, here we got the type, the key. The only thing we have to change in there is just our secret text. So change that up, change that up. We have no validation and we have no default, so we can remove both of those. Those are just optional responses that we can ask. And as always, just change the question itself. So question or secret text question. Then ask it again. So we do secret text question or answer. And then right there, we'll then be able to prompt for it. And then we'll do up here, let secret equal nothing. And then what we do from here is we then do secret equal to a secret text answer dot, and then dot secret. And there we go. So now that we have that all done, oh, it's not happy with something. Oh, it's because I overwrote that. Secret var. How about that? Always fun when you're working in a file like that and you're like, oh crap, I already used that word.
Yeah, that's nice though that the error's in line like that.
Mm-hmm. That's one benefit of using TypeScript. I know we talked about talking about some things, but they're like, why TypeScript over JavaScript? And that's one of those things that TypeScript's going to call out immediately, be like, hey, you made a dumb mistake here, go fix it before you're like, why does this not work?
Yeah, you're shadowing a variable.
So we're going to build that and make sure everything builds. Perfect, all built. So we're good to go. So the last thing we have to do over here, we're going to take this and replace my secret, sadly, with my own secret var. And then we're just going to run Amplify review secret real quick because we don't want two secrets in there. I don't even think it saved it. No, it did. Nice. All right, now we're going to go ahead and run add secret. We're going to use hello world, and it's going to ask us which one we want to do. We're going to bring the plain text. Copy your secret here. You guys will see your secret soon, but and it's all hidden. And
that's so nice that it just does that for you.
Right?
Yeah.
And there we go. So there's the ARN referencing to our thing, the name of the secret itself, and the version ID as well. So we can go back to the console real quick and go look at our secrets. I will share my screen again so we can see my new secret, and so that it works just fine. Or it doesn't work, and then we have to fix something. All right, console Secrets Manager, I think it's called. Yep. Wow. So in here,
add in your. There you go. Sorry about that.
All right, so right here you see you have a Hello World dev, so we've added that environment next to it in a sense. So that we would have it, so you can still see this created the CLI, and our secret value is now. That's not right.
I think you may have missed the build.
Did I not compile it?
I think you may have built before you changed the variable.
Let's see. All right. Well, we'll do amplify remove. Actually, since we'll have to do this, we have to go through this entire flow anyways again for update. So why don't we code our update right now, and then we'll show it updates the plain text from Sam's secret to our copy and pasted secret. So that way we can't technically delete these secrets until 30 days unless you force a delete. So we're not going to try and force a delete today if possible. So we're going to just go straight into update and show what update looks like. But it's very simple to do so. So let me share my screen again. Stop screen, share screen, and we're going to go into. There we go. That was one. Perfect. There we go. So one thing that's good to call out is that when you have a resource name passed in here, that means it's an update. If you go over here to our index.ts, you'll notice that when we call service questions here, we only call it with context options. When we call it with update, we provide a resource name. The reason why we're doing that is that easy way to discern between the two of them. And also when you create add, in a sense, you never have a resource name when you run add, right? You're never going to have one. So you know that it's going to be an update whenever you provide that resource name. So in our secrets push, we are given a resource name. If not, we pop for one. Then we ask for the secret's answer and secret's question. And we ask for the secret itself. What we can do up here is we can just create a flag saying this is an update. So we can say let update equal false until we know otherwise. And then in here, we know that this update is equal to true. There's other ways to check if it's an update, by the way. We're just doing it kind of the fast and easy way. There's also ways that you check for the command or even pass the command all the way down to see what the actual command is. And then you can actually, do some extra validation checking and stuff. So then right down here, you want to say, instead of doing a create secret, we're going to do a if update. We do this, else do that. So if it's an update, we want to put it in the else statement. If it's not an update, we want to do this create secret. But if it is an update, we want to do the update secret instead. So we just do update secret here. And I think, if I remember correctly, if I look at the documentation one more time, the update secret has the same exact parameters. So we don't have to even change our parameters, which is nice.
Yeah, I think so. I have it open too.
It looks like I can just update everything. Yep, secret string, perfect.
Amazing.
So that was super simple. All we have to do is just change the update to there. And in fact, it might be actually easier if we were to go ahead and remove this if statement altogether and put the if statement actually inside. That's actually true. There we go. Actually, we put it inside this thing right here, and we say that's secret equal empty dictionary, and then just say if update else. Nope. That way, we don't have duplicate code. Perfect. All right, now we're going to go ahead and build. There we go. All right, now if we were to run Amplify update secret now, we can choose our project that we already have. We enter a plain text file, and then we're going to say our secret here. Oh, got error here.
Oh no.
What was our error?
But it did say successfully updated.
Yeah. There's 2 validation errors: missing required key of secret ID and parameters, and unexpected name found in parameters.
Okay,
So
it is different.
So it is different, yeah. So our ID that we return back, so if you notice here, we have our ARN. Part of our ARN is an ID. So this is the ID of the actual thing. So this is what I was talking about, storing some of this information in that props file. So when we get it back, instead of just printing it out, we can store it somewhere a little bit more safe, I guess is a good way to put it, and be able to use it for later. So we want to take context.print, and we want to store it, say for example, just call it props.secret equals secret. So what's nice about this is this will store it, and if we go into our other project right here, we'll go look real quick in here. I'll just make this really big so that way you can see it, because I don't want to switch between screens. Actually, I can probably open it in this file. I probably could. Open. All right, let's do list cd amplify, and then backend. And then we have secret in here, the hello world. Then we have in here a props thing. If we were to props JSON, you'll see all the things that we've stored in the props file. Right now we only have shared and resource name, but when I make this change to secret up here to store this props.secret in secret, it will now have inside of props that secret. So what's nice about that is that now we'll always have access to all this information. So this ARN, this name, this version ID. And so when we go from that update, we'll have to delete it and stuff afterwards. But when we run the update this time, we'll be able to then go ahead and say, so for right now we can say params.name equals, so the other two are still the same. So we can just remove things that are no longer needed. And then we have to say, what is it saying here? Oh, is it probably, yeah.
Secret ID?
No, we have to do any here. Any, there we go. And then we have to do params.secret ID, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's
perfect. And then we have to pull that secret ID from our props file. So to do so, we can do that very easily with the files that we already have. So one second. Source walkthroughs, push. So we know we're working inside of a thing, so we can like pull our props in a sense. So we want to pull our props in and be able to utilize them throughout the entire answering process again, right? So where is that at? Service walkthrough, live stream push, there we go. So what we do here is we literally will try and read from the old project. So from here, we then are just trying to pull the old values in and assigning it to our props. Target directory, I didn't do that one. There we go. There we go. There we go. So pretty much what we're doing here is we're pulling all the old values of our answers before, since we have a resource name, from our thing. So props has all of our information. We then pretty much are taking and assigning from props all of our old values back into props. So we're pretty much reloading props with all the old information we already had.
Cool.
If that makes sense. So inside here, we go down here, and then we can just say is equal to props dot, and then it'd be secret dot arn, I think. Oh, wait. Where's that at? There it is. It's arn capital. Perfect. And let's double check inside the SDK before we write this to see what the secret ID is equal to. Because I want to make sure that the secret ID is the proper parameters. So the secret ID is either the Amazon resource name or the friendly name of the secret. Oh, interesting. So we can actually provide the friendly name as well. Well, that's just weird. We might actually be able to use the resource name without importing it, but we're going to use the ARN anyways.
Cool.
ARN is just, I feel like, more correct. Anyways, so we're going to write that, and we should be good. So we're going to go ahead and build that real quick. We're going to go ahead and run Amplify, remove secret, just so we can remove it. Oh, well, helps if I spell Amplify correctly. All right, remove world, yes. All right, now we're going to create Amplify add secret again. Oh, helps if I'm in the right folder. By status, there we go. Make sure I actually removed it because I was in the wrong folder. Yes, it did. Add secret. There we go. Add secret.
I kind of miss when they had the test version of the CLI that it was AMP instead of Amplify. I should probably just alias Amplify to AMP.
Well, so they still have that. You just have to install it via the CLI. So you have to clone the repository and then use their testing version, and then
Okay.
it's still AMP. So if you're working on actually the development environment, which I don't have on this machine, but I do on my other machine, it's aliased as AMP there. Then Amplify is like, so like you can have like you have both the CLI sitting next to the like GitHub repository in a sense, so you can test things on both, which is like convenient.
That is interesting. I feel like I have the CLI on this computer too, the repo, the development version, and I feel like it's the under Amplify, but maybe it is AMP. That'd probably be for the best.
I do know that they were having trouble with like things that were not like working across the two. So like they started like having them live side by side, which made my life a lot easier because I was like trying to build some features for it, and I was like, I break it by accident. I'm like, crap, and I have to have a demo like tomorrow, and I'm like, I need to fix this before like I have my demo.
Actually, you know what? I think my development version of the CLI, I have to just run the like path to the SH or the shell script. I'm pretty sure that's what I do. Thankfully, that's not really my job, so I don't have to write too much
exactly.
the CLI.
All right, so we have a new secret put in there. Perfect. So I won't share my screen because you've already seen the Secrets Manager twice, but it did work. We added the secret, and it did paste in as plain text, by the way. So that did work, but now we're going to test the update functionality.
That's awesome. And this might be a good place to end the stream once we try update.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Fingers crossed.
Yep. The good news is, oh, well, I spoke too soon. Cannot read property of ARN of undefined. Okay. So if we were to go quickly look at Amplify backend secret, hello world, nope, new secret, then props, just to see what's in there. Or I might have just missed something up here.
Secret.arn.
Props.secret.arn.
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe the load didn't work properly. The object.assign. Props, and we'll do console.log values. Just to verify it's loading in properly real quick. It's also weird that it's giving me 2 errors, RN of undefined and resource name of undefined.
Yeah, it is.
Weird. All right, so we'll take a look at that real quick, and then we'll go ahead and then obviously after this is all done, I will post this on my GitHub, and I'll share it on my Twitter, as well as I assume you will as well. So that way people can take a look at the code we've written today, and we'll be able to provide any sort of guidance on how to use it today. And obviously we'll keep building on it to make it look better and work better. Okay, well, it never got into this. I think that's the problem.
I like how you add punctuation to your hello.
Yeah, I always am like sarcastic, like, hello, you working? Anyone home, please?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so it does not look like it's working properly with that. So check just to log here. This should fail. Okay, 1 second. It also could be just that it's not letting me print properly. Okay. No, it's not even printing that. What the heck? Oh, you know what? Helps if I build the thing.
Oh no.
There we go. New secret, hello, perfect. So you got both of those.
Okay.
So that means that we're logging an error that we should be logging an error, but we're not. What is the error that we should be logging, but we're not? We're not logging an error either.
Wait, it worked that time.
Yeah, I mean, new secret worked, and then hello worked, but then, oh, I have to build again to show the error.
Oh.
There we go. All right, where are we going here? FS is not defined. Ah, see, this is why you double check things that are working properly. Simple fix gets everything working properly. There we go. Oh. Build. I hate this so much sometimes. Cannot redeclare block scoped via variable. It's like, yeah, you can. That's allowed. Stop it. I'm allowed to do that. You're the one wrong here. All right, can I just say var instead? Get over with it. All right, we're just gonna go with that. There we go, build. All right, there we go. We should be good to go. See, there we go. We got a secret ARN, good, and it's overwritten properly too. So then we can provide our own input here. So we're gonna say, thanks. Let's see, that worked. And successfully updated the new secret. There we go. So now if we go to the console one more time, I'll share my screen one more time so we can verify we updated it.
Cool.
And then we should be good. Share screen with my secret. Perfect. So for everyone, this is my old secret, by the way. It said testing 2, so we're going to go back to secrets real quick. Last page. And then our new secret value said, hello, Twitch, and thanks for joining.
Awesome.
So there we go. So we are updating successfully as well as adding successfully.
Whoa. This has been really, really awesome. I'm amazed by how much you were able to get done with the template, and then it's pretty much just the SDK on top of that. Some if statements, but other than that, a lot is there for us already. So this has been really, really awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I have to give props to the Amplify CLI team. I mean, they've put so much effort into making this all possible. I mean, the plugin ecosystem and everything else like that is just very easy to extend upon. And I mean, reality is I didn't have to write a lot of code because they've written a lot of it for me. So it just really is just like some small things I had to build myself, but it's mainly if statements.
Yeah. Well, I think we also documentation would be good on top.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like it's nice that I have like a whole repository to pull from of knowledge as well as like old plot projects where I'm like, oh, I know where I did this, I know where I did that, and I know where to do this, and you just be able to pull it all together for sure. But like definitely something that we definitely need to improve upon is what does all these functions do, right?
Yeah.
I do know that I've been talking to some of them. That's why part of the reason why TypeScript is so nice is that eventuality is that they want to be able to, for example, in TypeScript, you can have documentation built into TypeScript, right? So when you do like amplify dot, it'll actually give some nice documentation alongside the actual command itself.
Oh, that would be super cool. That would be really awesome.
So that's part of the reason why TypeScript is so nice. Also, is you get all that documentation kind of populated by things. So
that's awesome. I think one of my goals is to make the CLI repo, or I guess the Amplify repos in general, a little bit more contributor friendly. So I think
yeah, for sure. I would appreciate that too. I mean, I love contributing as much as possible. So sometimes I find myself spending an hour, 2 hours going through the CLI to make a small change because I want to make sure I make it in the right spot.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much. This has been really, really awesome, and I've learned a ton. So really, really impressed. And we'll share out this code both from my Twitter and yours, I think. And maybe keep working on it. If anybody has anything that they want to see in the future, would love to hear that as well.
For sure.
Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.